Welcome to Book Your Success, the online show for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs, about entrepreneurs. This show spotlights authors who have books which provide information, innovation, and inspiration needed by successful entrepreneurs and business professionals. It includes a special focus on how authors use their book to market and build their brand. Let's join host and entrepreneur Anita Paul with today's guest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Book Your Success. I am your host, Anita Paul, the author's midwife with WriteYourLife.net. Thanks so much for joining us today for this episode. We're very happy to be here, of course, every first and third Tuesday at 1 o'clock p.m. on BizLinks TV. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to make yourself known in the chat room, log in, ask a question. We have a fantastic guest today. I'll introduce you to her in just a moment. But I want to give a shout out to our sponsor for the day, the Intellectual Exchange Group, LLC. If you haven't called them yet to get some information about their audio and video courses for teens and adults, you need to do that. Their telephone number is 404-234-4301. They do training, they do classes. You can learn all the ins and outs and ups and downs about video and audio production. It's the Intellectual Exchange Group, LLC, and they're our sponsor for today. We thank them for that. Now, on to our guest today. We have in the studio Kricket Harrison. Thanks so much for joining us. She is a professional speaker, a trainer, and a business productivity coach. Don't we all need that, entrepreneurs? She's also the author of Focus on the Finish Line, 5 Steps to Follow Through and Finally Make Money. Ouch, for those of you who are not doing that yet. That it is actually her first book. Kricket utilizes cutting-edge training, knowledge, and personal experience to help her clients maximize their potential by developing strategies for success based on individual learning styles. She's known for her dynamic and interactive presentations, understanding that creative thinkers need space to process and to create. Kricket has been featured in Forbes Woman Online and interviewed by USA Today, and now she is so lucky to be here with Anita Paul on Book Your Success.
Yeah, I'm honored.
Her speaking engagements include small business, networking groups, interviews on the radio, telesummits, national conferences, the whole 9 yards. She is experienced. She knows this media stuff, and we're excited to have her on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Anita. I'm excited to be here.
Good to have you here. Tell me about this book, Focus on the Finish Line.
This book is a long time coming, as you and I have talked. It's really, I think I told you, a compilation of some talks that I've given, some things that I have learned over the years in working with clients who are entrepreneurs and noticing how there are so many brilliant people in the world who have so many brilliant ideas, and that's part of the reason they go out on their own. Mm-hmm. But they really, really struggle to turn those ideas into tangible actions and products that lead to profit. That lead to profit.
Right.
And I always think, something that we probably need desperately in this world is this close. Is this close? And then it just drops and doesn't get finished.
Yeah. So it's all about finishing what you start.
Finishing what you start.
Yes.
And it could be a cure to something. Who knows? But, we've got to get these brilliant minds to finish what they start.
And how many of us do that? I mean, we have a million ideas, right? For most entrepreneurs, we're not short on idea generation. It's execution.
We
That's
kind of
the challenge.
Call it ideaphoria.
Ideaphoria.
Ideaphoria. Or you can be an ideaphile.
It happens to the best of us.
It does.
So you talk about 5 steps in the book, and 5 steps? Just 5. That's real simple.
So only if it were. It's 5 steps, and when we originally wrote the book, I had it in 5 steps, and we kind of realized some of the steps are really too big, so we've pulled it out, and we've kind of laid the foundation for the 5 steps. Like the very bottom line, first piece you have to have, and then there's the 5 steps on top of that.
Okay.
And that first piece is what I kind of call creative brain style.
Okay, so tell us about a couple of the steps, the first 2.
So, well, the foundation piece is the creative brain style, and that's really the key important piece because it's about working the way you were meant to work, working the way your brain works, doing things that come naturally to you, and having awareness of what pieces come naturally to you.
So how do you know that? How do we get to that?
So you can look at your learning style, your processing style, which for most of us, we can kind of do a flashback to high school or college and think about the places we were most successful. Was it in large classrooms, small classrooms? Did you prefer essay tests? Did you prefer, multiple choice? There's different ways to figure out, are you more verbal? Are you more auditory? Are you more kinesthetic, where you like to move around? Kinesthetic is really about touching, hands-on things, and putting yourself in the environment that allows you to do that. If you're a kinesthetic, tactile learner who does great moving around, touching, feeling, interacting, being a part of things, and you put yourself in a position where you're at a computer all day with no interaction, and yes, you're typing, so there might be a little bit of movement, but it's kind of like you've boxed yourself in, and you really kind of shut down some of your natural abilities.
Right. As entrepreneurs, do you notice that there is some commonality? Is there some things that we share, or we're all pretty much different?
I think we're all highly visual just because we really can't turn the visual cues off. Auditory learners who fascinate me, they're the people that kind of hear it once and get it, that have that, say I have an ear for music and they can play by sound.
Right.
I'm always jealous of them. Can never do that. Pick up languages quickly.
Right.
They actually can get distracted by the visual cues because they cannot turn them off.
Okay.
But a true visual learner is someone who really takes in everything by sight rather than a visual description. So if I'm giving you directions and I give you very vivid, you're going to, what do we say, pass the wine store and you're going to turn left here in this tall tree, you want to park over here. I really need to see a map.
Okay.
Because it's about how the information comes to me versus the description.
I see.
So I'm very visual, so a map works best for me. I think a lot of us are verbal processors. It's about talking and thinking out loud.
Okay.
To kind of get your ideas clear, to kind of, some people do write them, but a lot of verbal processors say them out loud, and then it's like, oh, that didn't sound right, or oh, I might want to tweak that, or oh, that's not what I meant, and it allows them to kind of get it out of their head.
I'm a list person. I'm all about the bullet points.
Yeah.
Just get to the point. Give me like 10 points.
And I'm all about crossing off the bullet
yeah, I am
points.
too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the to-do list.
That's the to-do list, and we do cover that on the joy
Okay.
of a to-do list.
Excellent,
So-
excellent. Well, I want to say hello to some of the folks who are in the chat room. Hello, Charles, Ree, and Debbie. How are you? We want you to chime in the chat room, ask a question of Kricket about, maybe share what your learning style is. How do you process information? Do you need to see it, hear it, or experience it in order to make it stick with you? And I want to talk about one of the other steps. So one of them is know your learning style. What's one of the other five steps that you talk about in the book?
One of the major 5 steps I talk about is, and this is kind of where the to-do list piece falls in, it's about focus and clarity.
Yeah.
And I start there because it's one of the number one questions or statements I get. If I could just focus, I'd be clear. And what people don't understand is they're two separate things.
Okay.
Clarity is about knowing what the end result is you want.
Okay.
I am clear. It's kind of like the goal, but we're going to set goals on the way to get to our end result.
Okay.
Focus is actually where you direct your attention in order to reach that goal. So I always said it's kind of like you can go to the proverbial crystal ball and it shows you where you want to go, but if the ball's covered in dust and soot, you're going to focus on the dust and soot because you don't know where you want to go.
I see. Interesting. Focus and clarity. Very good.
And through that comes, struggles with to-do lists, struggles with bright shiny object syndrome, which you kind of hear a lot about.
Yes.
You can even kind of hashtag BSOS, and people know what it is. Which kind of tickled me.
We suffer from that. I understand that.
Yeah. Or just like the idea for you, too many ideas. What do I do with them? And do I put them on a to-do list? Do I, they distract me. And how can I focus? It's all about how can I focus when I have all these ideas and distractions.
Wow. And there are some strategies in the book, I'm sure, to help you deal with all of that. The BSOS. Bright, shiny object
I know you have
syndrome.
You have to be careful saying that. Yeah.
Anything starts out with BS, you never know what might come out. Here's a question. Does your book have a tool to identify your style, your unique style?
So the book does walk you through the 5 different pieces of what I call the creative brain style. As far as learning and processing styles, it's going to give you resources. I'm all about helping you find the best free resources available to you. There are several online that you can go to. You can go to, I think, mindtools.com. There's a VARK, V-A-R-K, and it might be VARK Learn. But you can Google learning assessments. The challenge with learning assessments these days is some people will tell you there's 12, some people will tell you there's 7, some people will tell you there's 4. The key is for you just to get an understanding of how you work. Online magazines, Kindles are a great way these days. Do you prefer to read everything online? Do you like to have the magazine in hand? Do you like to have the pictures? I know for myself, I can read like an easy beach read on my Kindle. I can't read about behavioral therapy on my Kindle.
Right.
It just doesn't sink in for me. I need that book in my hand. And those are the different things you need to key in on, because just because you do something one way, like I can read a beach, an easy kind of almost mindless, entertaining read on my Kindle, I have to learn that it's not just about the reading, it's about the information I'm reading.
Exactly. That's a good distinction, though. I think we think once we decide on how our learning style is, it's the same across the board. It may not be. So maybe I can learn concepts for my business a certain way. Maybe I need to actually experience them. But for, if I'm learning a new instrument, I actually might need to do something else. I need to hear it.
Right.
So it may not be the same across the board for every experience, for every area in our lives that we're learning, but we just need to identify what it is for each one.
Right. And writing's another great example. For many people, creative writing, they can kind of do everywhere. I have a friend who goes to a coffee shop as part of her weekly ritual, and that's where she gets her inspiration. She watches people, she writes her blog posts. But when it comes to writing things that are more formal, either a white paper for her website or possibly a sales page or something, she needs a different environment.
I can see that.
Because, it's tapping into a different area of the brain. It's a different logic flow. There's kind of more rules to say involved that she needs to be paying attention to, more formal. Whereas when she's creatively writing, she doesn't have to worry about that. And so like
she probably needs that stimulation.
Right, right. So really it's about knowing, based on the task you need to accomplish, how to set yourself up best for success.
Okay. So how did you get this information? Did you do some research? Did you interview experts? Is this your background?
It's a little bit of everything. I started out, I've been coaching now since 2002. Noticed that majority of clients that I was not only the most successful with, but enjoyed the most and really did the best with were people that had these creative minds. And I started just kind of seeing the patterns emerge of... part of it was this creative ideas, focusing, and not getting anything done. And then I kind of stepped back and I went, okay, well, we're doing all the right things, right? We're setting goals. We're keeping up their deadlines in there, their goals that are attainable, like all the good formal stuff. And I started looking at why aren't they reaching them? So then I started interviewing. I set up a survey, as many people do, and I reached out to entrepreneurs all over the United States, and I interviewed them, and I asked them varying questions about, do you know your learning style? If so, what is it? And then I went into how long you've been in business. So I got a picture of number of years in business, what they knew about themselves, and kind of how successful they were in business, and what their biggest struggles were. And across the board, the most common thing was too many ideas, the to-do list, and not knowing what to do with them. Which pulled back in that focus piece. We always kind of zero back to that focus piece.
Where does time fall in? I hear the time thing all the time. I don't have enough time to do whatever.
So for me, time falls in under planning.
Okay.
But it's an awareness of time. It's an awareness of learning where you get lost in time. That concept of, well, I have 10 minutes, I'll just check this email.
Oh.
And now you're 20 minutes late.
Right.
And I have a little sheet that's going to be in the second edition of the book, and it's going to be on the website, and we call it the Eat Log. And it's got like the little Pac-Man face that's going to be eating up your time. And really the goal is, when we are busy doing so many things, we just really don't always have an awareness of time. The busier you are, the faster it seems to go.
Right.
And we also aren't totally aware of how long projects take us to complete.
Right.
So you might say, oh, that's going to take me an hour, and 3 hours later you're still working.
True.
So basically the Eat Log is estimated actual time. It's looking at what eats your time.
Okay.
And it's about learning to say, here's how long I think this project's going to take. Here's how long it actually took, so the next time you can plan better for it, as well as starting to recognize what you're good at and what you should delegate.
Love it. I love that. What a great tool.
Yeah. So if
When you
something
first said it, it sounded like a negative. Eat. What's eating your time away? Like
Yeah.
you're wasting your time doing these things, but not necessarily. These are all most important things to do, but it's just a matter of everything takes longer than you think. Really,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
One more question from the chat room. Do you share time management techniques in the book? And that
Absolutely.
sounds like one of them. the
Absolutely,
eat.
we do, and we give several resources of physical things, of different timers, and the kind of the blessings and the curses of timers. A countdown timer versus racing the clock to try to beat the clock version of a timer. A timer that doesn't count but shows red, and kind of the red disappears as you're running out of time. You have to really know what works for you, and you have to play with them a bit, because
Right.
some countdown timers actually make people kind of anxious.
Absolutely.
And then they focus on how much time they don't have anymore, and then they're behind.
Gotcha. Okay.
So-
So yes, definitely some
Definitely.
time management tools. The first step you mentioned is clarity. And explain again why that's the most important. Why can we not start unless we're clear?
Because you're trying to create the path. Clarity is kind of like your end goal, your big goal, and really clarity could come every day in every little goal. In my opinion, you're going to have to check in on clarity often, and every time you go to do things. Am I clear on what I'm doing? The biggest thing is, am I clear on what I'm doing this for? I'm doing this for the purpose of, so that you're not getting distracted by the bright, shiny objects going,
Right.
oh, look, or, oh, well, this is too hard, so I can go do this now.
Okay, so we're
Which
looking
is-
more at outcomes, results, that kind of thing. With clarity. And if we don't know that in the beginning, then yeah, BSOS.
Right. And if you're told, maybe you've got a partner or somebody you're working with, and they say, hey, can you do this? And if it's not a priority for you, and you don't know what the purpose of it is, it's not, you're not going to jump to get it done. You're not going to direct your attention in that way. The clarity piece is really just, it's about being crystal clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And it seems that would also help to be able to say no to, those
Yeah.
opportunities. They always come, right? As soon as you
Yeah.
say, this is what I'm going to do and this is the direction I'm heading in, some other wonderful opportunity, which is, the bright, shiny object thing, comes along and it seems like it's a perfect fit. But if it doesn't fit in with that clearly defined direction or outcome that you want, it's easier to say no.
Right.
I blame things on my business model. When people come to me and ask me things, I say, I'm sorry, that's just not part of my business model.
But that's smart.
It is. I think so.
Because
yeah.
on top of that, we talk about boundaries. Is what we talk about. Learning to
Exactly,
learning
that's
to
what it
say no
is.
is one of the most freeing things you can do for yourself. And
It's
espe-
frightening until you do it, and then it is very liberating.
But more frightening than that is letting someone down when you agree to do something you shouldn't be doing in the first place.
Because you're letting them down, you're letting you down, and you shouldn't have said yes in the first place.
Right. And you can say no in a very positive way.
For example?
I had a client not too long ago who is always getting asked to take photos for people. And she's like,
And that is
"Don't-
not her primary business
It's not
model,
her primary
right?
business model. And she was in the process of moving, and she's like, what do I do? And I said, well, your response is, I'd really love to help you, but I am so slammed this weekend, and I could take the pictures for you, but I couldn't get them to you in a timely manner. And I know this is for your child, and I don't want to disappoint you, and I know you need to have them. So she put the no back on their values, and I'm not going to be able to deliver to the level that I want to deliver for you to have.
Right. I could
And
meet
then-
your expectations,
Right.
which I know are very high. So, at this time, I can't meet them.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's fair.
Instead of just
I like
saying
that.
no, not going to do it.
Or
it
just
was,
say it's not part of my business model and keep on going. Talk about this creative brain style. What is this creative?
Well, that's kind of where I
brain
started
style?
with this creative brain style. It's really just understanding how your brain works
Okay.
best. Everybody's brain is different. We've talked about focus. People focus in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So what helps me focus best may not be what helps you focus best. And again, that's a matter of, do you need music? Do you need music without words? Do you need to drown out the background noise? Do you need, and I see this, you see this with children. Actually, they're bringing this into schools a lot now, where they look at, testing and background noise can help you. There's apps all over the place for white noise.
Yes.
And it's because it actually almost gives the brain something else to kind of focus on at the same time, and allows you to focus more.
Yeah.
It also includes, though, as much as we don't want to kind of delve into things when it comes to doing business, we don't want to go into our past or who we are. A lot of people don't want to go there, but beliefs and fears, we know, play into being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You've
it's
got
a holistic process. You can't
Yeah.
just say, well, I arrived here because my career led me and that's it. But Yeah, you got to go back to who you were as a young person. A lot of that is still in you.
Mm-hmm. And I think behavior plays a lot into it. We always say, and we might actually really believe that we want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
but our behavior is telling us that we don't really want to do it or that we're afraid of something.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the key pieces, which I touched on just a little bit, was environment. It's like, what's the environment you need to be successful?
Okay.
But part of that environment is kind of what I call the internal environment. You know, it's about healthcare for one. If you're going to have a big project to do, your brain needs food.
Mm-hmm.
So many people don't eat breakfast. And I am certainly not a health coach, but I know that the brain needs protein.
Right.
And you need to be able to take care of yourself. We know that exercise helps. If you're doing a project, do you need to get up and walk around to keep yourself stimulated, to keep yourself going?
Okay.
Some people do, some people don't. When it comes to external environment, lighting plays a factor.
Sure.
A lot of places have fluorescent lighting. Some people, the noise, the hum drives them crazy. Some people, fluorescent lighting gives them headaches and migraines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what's the environment that
Right.
you need so that you can do your best work?
So the immediate environment, and then what you're bringing to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about, proper diet, obviously plenty of rest, all of those things. If you're not coming there prepared,
And even
then you
mindset,
can't focus.
even
Yeah.
emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I come in nervous about doing a project because I don't think I can do it, I've got beliefs in there, I've got fears. You know, my behavior is showing that I'm nervous and doubtful, and then I'm, in my head, I've got that going too.
Right.
So yeah, the chances are it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm. But whatever you're thinking comes
Yeah.
to pass. Very
Yeah.
true. So another question: How will an entrepreneur know it's time to purchase your book? When's the book going to be out?
I would be so excited if I could announce the huge launch tomorrow. We are working towards, and again, Anita and I've talked about how this has been such a learning process for me with my learning style and how I work. We actually, if you can contact me at my website, which is Bright Outside the Box, there's a contact form. And just in the comments line, you can put book list. And that way you won't get sent a bunch of stuff. You'll just get sent the notification of the book. And for those people that do that, I am going to offer a little something extra.
A little goodie, a little special gift. So,
Yeah.
brightoutsidethebox.com. Brightoutsidethebox.com. Let's talk about Bright Outside the Box. Tell me what you do with your coaching. Who do you coach for, and what services do you provide?
I primarily coach entrepreneurs. I have worked with engineers. I've worked with lawyers. It's more of what I refer to as a personality style, and that style just happens to fit the entrepreneur world. It's kind of a risk taker, and it's that person with a lot of creative and innovative ideas that knows in their head. It's like you can see that you're supposed to be someplace and you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you just kind of get stuck getting there.
Okay, very good. That's a lot of us.
It's a lot.
A lot of us get
Yeah.
stuck. We're going to talk a little bit more about that stuckness, and also want to talk about SMART goals, how your model, or I don't know which one fits into the other, of the SMART goal. A lot of us have heard about SMART goals, but we're going to take a commercial break, and we will be right back.
What happens when soldiers come home? Brene Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the Brene Foundation or visit Brene.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Altieri, and welcome to our office.
And I'm Dr. Cavallo. We're co-owners of AC Spine and Wellness. We've been located here in Lawrenceville for the past 21 years. We'd like to thank you in advance for looking at our website, for taking a virtual tour of our office with us.
What we do is we work with people of all ages, from birth through to senior citizens, and we do it in a natural way. We want to get you healthy and keep you healthy.
What we've done recently is integrated our office, creating a chiropractic and medical group together. What this does is allows you to get the optimal wellness that you deserve as a person.
for visiting our office and our website, and make sure you take time to go into our new patient section where we offer different specials monthly.
And remember, we're trying to create a healthier world naturally.
How does your small business stay top of mind with customers? From deals that bring them in with an offer, to social media promotions that turn fans into customers, to events that engage and create buzz, to emails that keep loyal customers coming back. Our easy-to-use tools will keep you in front of your customers.
All right, we're back with Book Your Success. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying with us. Everybody who's in the chat room, want to say hello to Debbie, to Charles, and to Ree, and I know there's a bunch of other people hanging out in there, so just chime in, to give us a shout out, ask a question. We've got a few more minutes here in the studio with Kricket Harrison. She is the author of Focus on the Finish Line, 5 Steps to Follow Through and finally, make some money. I want to say hello also and let you all know about our sponsor for today, the Intellectual Exchange Group, LLC. Again, they offer audio and video training courses for young adults and for grown folks as well. So if you're interested in learning more about how the audio video thing works for your business, for your home, give them a call at 404-234-4301. And we left on the point of talking about SMART goals and how your process fits into the SMART goals thing, or how they work together. Tell us what SMART goals are, and then what's your take on it?
So traditional SMART goals are probably what you learned growing up, or probably what you learned, writing a paper in business. It had to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Right.
That was boring.
Yeah.
But anyway,
especially the
it was
realistic
supposed to
part.
work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I saw time and time again, people set that, and then they didn't do anything. Well, it is attainable, but they weren't taking the action to attain it. It was timely. And how many people are guilty of the deadline, like the night before? The night before, you're like, oh gosh, I got to do this.
Remember how you did it in college? You're still doing it now.
Yeah. It doesn't change. And that is part of a learning style, but we work on that one. So when I interviewed these people and I looked at the entrepreneurs, I was like, well, what's happening? And what I noticed was that SMART maybe for entrepreneurs needed to be a little different.
Okay.
So SMART is about having systems and support and structures to help your business. It's about having the mindset management. We talked about that just a little bit ago. Can you manage the negative self-talk? Can you manage the, perfectionist person and the procrastination person in your head telling you need to be doing something else? The A is for accountability.
Very good.
So it's attainable, yeah, but is anybody going to hold you accountable to doing the work? And it's so easy. It is so easy to change a goal or not reach a goal or just say, oh, well, we decided something else. When you don't tell anybody about it.
We as in me.
Yeah.
We decided not to do this at all.
So when you don't tell anybody about it, right? Because they'll never know, and you can't fail if nobody ever knows.
Right.
So the R is for routine. And that is not typically a word that creative, risk-taking entrepreneurs want to hear.
Because routine sounds boring.
But routine sound boring, and I'm the first one to agree that we just need to find a better name. The thing about routine is it sets you up to actually have more time and freedom.
Okay.
There are so many routines in your life that took several steps, like tying your shoes, that as a child stressed you out. You were learning all the little steps, and now you don't think anything about it.
Right. So is it more consistency then, doing it?
It's kind of
regularly.
Regularly. It's having a routine, having something you follow that actually makes it easier for you.
Okay.
And the T is really about trust.
Oh.
And I think that's a lot where the self-doubt comes in. But it's not just about trusting yourself. It's about trusting the process you were asked to do or the project you were asked to do. If you're working for yourself, maybe you have an obligation to someone else as far as turning in a newsletter or a website designer that you have to get some stuff to. It's trusting in their process as well.
So that you don't micromanage.
So that you're not
everything.
taking over, and in which case getting yourself stuck.
Right.
So it's trusting in yourself, trusting in the work you can do, and trusting in the process and the people around you.
Very good. So all of that, I think, probably gets us to the finish line, helps us get to the finish line. You mentioned in the book that at least 20% of the last 20%, I guess, of a project or of your process or whatever is the most important. Why?
Right. Well, the last 20% is where the money is. It truly is. People will do, and this is so interesting to me, they'll do 80% of the work. And a lot of times that 80% of the work is actually the hardest part of the work. And it's like once the hardest part, the part that has them fully engaged, is over, they just kind of check out because in their mind, the hardest working part is done. And they don't do the follow-up after an event. They don't do all the little pieces.
It was enough to work up to all of that, right? And get there and show up, and then they finish.
And that was the fun
over.
part. You know, that was the interacting with people, doing the fun thing part. And then you wonder why, you know, maybe you went to a networking event or you sponsored an event, and you wonder why it didn't develop into something else. Well, it's that last 20 part.
Yeah,
it's
like
you did all
here, and then you're like,
you did all the planning, you got it all, and I always say it's like a wedding. You get all the way through the wedding, and then there's the thank you notes. And that's the part that just seems to drain the life out of people, right? It's the same thing, and it can be about details. I think a lot of times it's about communication and delegation.
Okay. Processes also, right? The systems, and you're smart. Yeah, having a system for follow-up and follow-through and finishing. Right, and especially if we know that that's where the money is, that should motivate us. Right. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So you'll find some strategies about that in the book. I guess, just the whole process of this book, first-time book for most authors.
First-time author.
Is almost always a surprise, pleasantly or not, for some authors. Tell me what was the most surprising thing about this process of book production for you?
Oh, I think I could sum it up with I didn't know what I didn't know. I think you go into the concept of I'll just write a book. And in my case, it was, you know, take your talks, you give these talks, it's good information, compile it, you know, and you have a book and it'll help your business. And that just seemed so easy. And I mean, I knew it wouldn't be easy. And I talk about at the end of the book, especially when we're talking about learning styles, you know, writing is not the way I process information. So this was actually a little bit more challenging for me. I did speak a good part of the book and then have to go in and kind of do the edits.
Okay.
But there's so much more involved from the detail standpoint that I just wasn't even aware of. You know, just when you're writing a book, it's not even just about the writing and the story and the flow and does it make sense to the outside person, because when you've lived it for so long, it always makes sense to you.
Of course, right? You know what you meant to say.
Right. And it's about the marketing. It's about, you know, the different ISBN numbers, the who's going to do the book, the which place are you going to have it printed through? Is it print on demand? How are you? It's all of that.
Right. So it's all the process. Always a surprise. But aren't you glad you did it?
Yeah, it's been a great experience. And I was saying, I go back and forth to, I'll never ever do it again, to, wow, I've got this great idea for the next book. And I can say what I would probably do next time is I would probably speak more of the book and have someone help me tweak that to make sure it's still my message. And, you know, so I haven't ruled it out yet.
Good.
You know, it's a growing process. I think it's kind of like birthing a baby. After a while, you forget about the pain.
Right. You just have
I'm not at that place
baby,
yet.
Right. Exactly. I get that.
No, I'm glad I did it. It's a good experience.
Well, I hope you do it again. We're glad that you wrote this one. Focus on the finish line, 5 steps to follow through and finally make money. It will be out very, very soon. So you want to make sure you go to brightoutsidethebox.com, brightoutsidethebox.com. Sign up to get some information on when the book is coming out. It'll be soon, and you don't want to miss it. And we thank you, Kricket, for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kricket
Harrison on Book Your Success. We look forward to everybody joining us next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us. Today's show can be viewed again in archives on our website at www.bizlinks.tv. If you are an authorpreneur and would like to appear on the program to discuss your book and share how you utilize it to enhance your business platform, submit an inquiry to Book Your Success at bizlinks.tv. In addition, information on advertising and hosting your own show can be found on our website at www.bizlinks.tv.